We are live right now on the Warzone Sports Network to talk about last week's game and to talk about this week's game. Make sure you guys come through Warzone Sports on our YouTube channel live right now. And we're about to hit the music.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
On blue, ready?
Don Coryell.
Hello, history books.
Touchdown, San Diego! Woo!
He was in.
I do love that. I was in.
What's your favorite?
You were in, homie.
Yeah, let's start it off with this. What's your favorite Justin Herbert moment so far, Tony?
My favorite Justin Herbert moment is probably there. Okay, so there's a cutaway during the Browns and Chargers game earlier this year where he just sits down and they hit David Njoku on the first play. Right?
Yeah.
And he goes, after they go down, they score a touchdown. He sits down, he's whipping back his beautiful locks, and he sits down. And before he can even take a full breath, David Njoku's streaking to the end zone. He pops up, gets the ball, licks his fingers, and just starts throwing and goes back up. Like, that is what it's not like it's not on the field or whatever, but it just, to me, it says, oh, this is what kind of guy we have. He's like, well, that was quick. Defense had a letdown. I'm going to go pick him up, and we're going to go win the most exciting game of the year to date. So that's won't go down in the history books, but it was like my favorite thing to see him just pop up and be like, all right, back to business. It's that easy.
I will say that I agree with you. I didn't see that moment because I was at that game. And that is my favorite Justin Herbert moment, was just the absolute takeover of that football game. He was a possessed man in that game. And it reminded me of that little string of games he had against Tampa, New Orleans, and Vegas. 3 games in a row were all in the spotlight. Of course, he played Tampa. That wasn't a primetime game, but he played Tampa in the spotlight because it's Tampa. And they were in Tampa as well. And then they played New Orleans the next week on Sunday Night Football. And then they played Vegas, I think 2 weeks later on Thursday Night Football. And those 3 games, man, those 3 games gave me chills. I was so excited. And I had that same feeling after that Browns game. I was like, this kid is going to be unstoppable. No one's stopping him. And
well, Lombardi's stopping him. Staley's stopping him. Mike Williams dropping footballs inside the 5-yard line is stopping him. Leading the league in drops is stopping him.
That is a great transition because I was also at this Vikings game. And me and you had 2 different angles of the game. I watched it on film, and I had to turn it off after like the third quarter because I knew what was coming already, and I did not want to watch it again and have my heart broken again with that fourth quarter. But Tony, go ahead, let it out. What's your thoughts on the Vikings game last week? Took a big L. That's a game that if we win, I think you can lock us in the playoffs. Now we have a little bit of stress having to play Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, New York, some of these other teams that we can't drop one of those games anymore.
No, and this is the 3rd game like this that they've come out on the losing end of, right? I would say the Cowboys game, what up, Falke? We should have won that game. They come out on the losing end of that one. They come out on the losing end against the Patriots. Now, the Patriots loss, when you look back on it at the end of the season, now looks like maybe people will be like, oh, I get that a little bit because of the way the Patriots defense is playing. But that one play, when they're up 17-16 and they get a pick 6 because of miscommunication for whatever reason, that completely changes the football game. And then this Vikings game, when you have multiple 3rd and double-digit numbers, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 20, and they're picking up almost first downs and able to go for it on 4th and short, you cannot have that. And it's like, if something's not working for you, please feel free to make an adjustment in-game. Now, I rewatched it, and I was like, why didn't they blitz on 1? They did something weird on the one that Thielen caught, where they dropped edge rushers in like deep and then blitz Derwin James from like 25 yards out. I was like, wait, why isn't the sides collapsing and Cousins is forced to step up into the blitzing Derwin James? Instead, you drop these guys out. Bro, they need 19 yards. Why is this edge rusher dropping into the flat? You thought they were going to throw a fucking screen pass on 3rd and 19? There's the Mike Evans drop, the Jalen Guyton drops, Keenan, his drops were at least contested in some of them. Eckler missed one over the middle, which could have been high throw. It was difficult. I get it.
It's not.
They cannot have this many drop passes. It's so frustrating to sit there and cheer. And it's like, wait, the ball is hitting you in the hands or the chest or whatever. You got to make more of these plays.
I sincerely hope all week this week that they're on that machine that slings balls at you. Receivers, running backs, tight ends, everybody has it to the max. Like, I want to see you catching 90-mile-an-hour balls in practice. So that way when it comes out at 65 out of Herbert's shoulder, you can catch the ball. I know that this team is not used to catching fastballs because of Phillip Rivers. I don't know if it's still lingering to a season and now over half a season later where we've got problems dropping fastballs. That's killing us. When I watched the tape back, Tony, up into the 3rd quarter, I stopped watching after that Eckler drop. And you look at how much space he has, that could have been a touchdown. That could have been a touchdown, but we're definitely close to the 25, 30 at the very minimum. And then you talk about Jalen Guyton's drops. You add up Mike Williams dropping like key goal line conversions that were easy slants, easy money. Everyone's mad at the play call. He was open. He should have caught the ball. You know what I mean? I like the fade to the end zone better also with Mike Williams. But if you're going to be the Mike Thomas of this offense and they call a slant for you and you get open and the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch the ball, Mike. You add it all up together. Over 100 yards easily left off the board because of dropped passes, which is something that NFL players should not be doing as often as Chargers players. We are we are leading the league in drops right now. And then you go into the 4th quarter, that play call was terrible to not send the pressure and to whatever they're doing with edge rushers, whatever. They should have done exactly what you're saying. Sent a blitz still. Rush 4 edge rushers. If you go after Kirk Cousins, he's not very mobile. He's either making a very contested throw under pressure with guys in his face 20 yards down the field, or you sack him. And I firmly believe that one of those two things happen if you just send a regular pass rush and a blitzer. It could have been K9. It could have been Derwin James. A freaking cornerback off the edge. Anyone to put pressure on him because that route that Thielen ran was a 20-yard in. It takes 7 seconds to run a 20-yard in. He's not even the fast receiver on the team. They get 4th and 2. And, of course, with Dalvin Cook, they're converting.
Yeah, as soon as it got there, I was like, "This is bad news for us." The play in the second.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead. Earlier in the drive, we had him in like a 1st and 20 or 2nd and 20. Also, I want to point that out. So they did it to it twice.
And on that one, they got it on like the first play. Wasn't that the Madison screen pass or run or draw or whatever that he got like 20 on?
Yeah, that's why on 3rd and 2, they just threw a jump ball to Justin Jefferson. Questionable. I don't think he caught the ball because I think when he came down out of bounds, the ball's rolling on the ground in his arms. And the definition of the catch is he has to catch the ball through the ground and get up with the ball. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse why we lost this game. We lost this game because of all the other bullshit.
I'm fine with those I think that was a catch, and I'm good with that. The second Conklin touchdown where they run those little crossing routes across the back end, like Alohi Gilman and Derwin James smash into each other and fall down. That was a heartbreaker because Cousins is under pressure, arm gets hit, the ball's wobbling in the air. Derwin James, who's covering Conklin on that play, picks that ball off easy. At the very least, knocks it down, and it's a field goal opportunity or whatever. Or that might have been a 4th down conversion. There were just so many plays that should have gone in their favor, and for whatever reason, the Chargers are not winning those, like, enough of those plays late in the majority of games, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is we applaud Staley's aggressiveness for going for it on all these 4th downs. He's a defensive head coach. I would like to see some aggressiveness on going after the quarterback anytime you have him in 3rd or deeper, especially when the strength is the ability of the corners to cover. You don't need to blitz Derwin. Yeah. Send Fackrell or White or who's the other guy I'm blanking on?
Tranquil. I know Tranquil's been out, but Tranquil,
Nwosu, right? Like
Nwosu, any of those guys. Yeah, they're not good in coverage anyways.
Yes,
like,
why?
We need to use those guys what they're good at. Kaiser White's pretty solid in coverage. Drop him back. And any one of those other guys that aren't good in coverage. Any of them. Ashley, we appreciate you for subscribing. Even though you're a Steelers fan, we do have a Steelers show on the channel, so keep a lookout for that.
It aired right before this at 11 a.m., 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it is already up. You can go back and you can chill with the Rooney Tunes report is what it's called.
Yeah. We will not be mad at you if you leave this video and go to that video. We won't be mad at you. We'll say it's okay. You just got to comment like, hey, I came from the Nuts and Bolts show, bolt up or something, so the Steelers fans know that we're representing the Steelers right before we kick the crap out of them.
Oh, man.
Anyways, we complained enough. Let's talk about the positives from that game. For one, Dustin Hopkins still hitting all the kicks. Every time he hits the kick, I am still surprised. Even though he's shown that he can hit these kicks. I think he had a field goal and 2 extra points.
Yes.
Good for us. That's really good for us. If we can have that, then we're pretty solid. And then the defense. If the defense plays like this against this depleted Steelers offense, then we got this game in the bag, in my opinion. But the defense stepped up a lot in that Vikings game. There was multiple plays where that game could have turned into a blowout because of the offensive struggles. But Derwin James swatting a touchdown pass to a tight end that was open. I have never seen a guy Derwin James' size move like he did on that play. Go back and watch that play. He was toasted. He had about 7 yards distance when the ball is about to be thrown out of Kirk Cousins' shoulder, and he covers that ground and almost intercepts the ball in the end zone right in front of him. That was insane. There was that one, and there was the goal line stand, Cook trying to get in. There was a couple plays where if the defense doesn't step up, this game isn't even close at the end. So applause to the defense, a lot more improved than previous weeks.
Yeah, I think that's my highlight too, is the defense kept Cook under 100 yards. That's nice. They were still having some success with Madison there. The special teams is still, I know I'm supposed to be saying positive things, right? And there was a couple of nice kickoffs, returns, but then there's penalties on it. Like Andre Roberts had a couple of nice, could have been field position plays there. I don't know. Like this game is really tough for me to have any real positive takeaways outside of some individual performances, right? Like I think Kaiser White played a pretty nice game overall.
100%.
And there was a couple of nice moments from ASJ. So
it's happy just to see him defending passes because he had a string of games there. I don't know if he was banged up or what it was. He did take a week off with a concussion. Where I was like, where's ASJ? He was making plays every play in the first 4 games of the year. Yeah. Every play, it seemed like, was going to someone attacking ASJ. It could just be they did stop attacking him as much, but not quite as productive or impactful in previous games. He definitely was against the Vikings. And as far as special teams goes, they did have that one big return. Ty Long's only bad punt all year. You got to help him out. They missed a couple tackles on that. That was too much of a line drive. Once it came out of the foot, and you can ask my wife, I looked over and I said, oh, that's too much of a line drive. And sure enough, the returner catches it and has a ton of freaking space, makes one guy miss, and he's got even more space.
Yeah, I didn't complain enough during that. And by the time you said to say something positive, just more bad things were coming into my head. That was another one where it's like the coverage team on these are just awful.
And it was really Ty Long's been solid as a punter. He's been putting balls in the air, and we've been able to cover punts a lot better than in previous years. All right, Tony, any last things? Well, we can move on to the Steelers game now. Throw that one in the garbage. We're still a 5-4 team in the playoffs right now, playing against the team that's seated ahead of us. Pretty pumped.
Yeah, thanks to a tie there. And Ashi says the Steelers could win or should win if right. What does it say? The Chargers are going to win if Ben doesn't play. Yeah. They should still beat the Steelers even if Ben plays. Like Ben is not going to be the determining factor, right? The Steelers' young offensive line, if they can have success. They've been improving over the weeks, but they need to be able to run block for Najee Harris. Like Najee's getting a lot of work, a lot of touches, so he's putting up decent numbers. As soon as this offensive line gels, it's going to be unstoppable. And I think that just there's a little bit of disrespect being paid to Ben not being able to throw the ball downfield. Mason Rudolph is just terrible and shouldn't even be on an NFL roster, in my opinion. Like if you had Dwayne Haskins, he should have been in that game.
If the Chargers take care of business, we could see Dwayne Haskins in this game at some point. And I think that any week that Ben's not in, the Steelers are a bad first half away from throwing Haskins out there.
Well, I don't even know, like, is he dressing? I don't get what the plan was. If you brought him there and you've been moving him along all this time and he's younger, you know what Mason Rudolph gives you. Nothing.
Yeah, Dobbs is out right now, so it's the second string's got to be Haskins right now. It's got to be.
Yeah, well, I read that they were preparing Rudolph to start, right? Like,
yes.
And then this morning the report was that Ben is preparing, like he's going to be the starter. And we'll know by Saturday at like 4 p.m. Eastern because they have to say whether or not he's traveling.
Jesus. It's a lot of work. They should travel him just to keep it up in the air. Anyways, this is a good time to transition to this injury report. But yeah, they should keep this a secret as long as they can because it's stressing me out a little bit. We got Nas Adderley on here, but he was a full practice. Keenan was a full practice. He's been on here with the knee for the last couple of weeks. I'm not too concerned. Keenan, by the way, absolutely. That's why I'm wearing this jersey. It's one of my favorite Keenan games of all time. In that game where we were down like 30-10 to the Steelers in a primetime game, Keenan absolutely destroyed them in the second half and brought us back almost single-handedly. There's even one highlight where freaking Rivers just steps back and is like, hey, I'm about to get sacked, so Keenan, I'm going to throw it in double coverage against you. Bam! And the ball gets tipped up in the air like 3 times, and Keenan somehow comes down with it. I'm not sure if you remember that play, Tony. I should have brought it up. I should have had it pulled up. Steven Anderson's a full practice, so he's good. Michael Davis, come on back, baby. We need you. This is a big deal to have him back. He's been down with a hamstring and concussion injuries the last couple of weeks. He's at full practice. Lohi Gilman did not practice. He's actually been starting a little bit, like playing with the ones a lot this year. Justin Herbert, oblique. He's a full practice. I'm guessing that he just probably didn't do anything this day. I don't know what this is. 3 lines in a row. Better play it safe with your quarterback. I don't think he needs that much practice. He needs mental practice. I don't think he needs very much throwing the ball if he's got an oblique injury. Justin Jackson, probably going to come back this week. He practiced in full. He didn't play last week. Justin Jones, he's good to go. Justin, we cannot be missing you, man. You were a big difference last week. Linval has not practiced at all this week. A little concerned about him. Trey Marshall, not really a factor too much. He hasn't really played this year too much. Did not practice. Rumpf is good to go, it looks like. And Webb did not practice. He's been out the last couple of weeks as well. But to talk about COVID kind of maybe being an impact on this game, basically the entire Chargers defensive line room is on COVID watch. I'm not sure if it was a coach that tested positive or who it was, but everyone in the D-line room who was unvaccinated is not at practice this week because they have to follow the protocol of 5 days and however many negative tests before the game. That includes Joey Bosa. That includes Jerry Tillery. And I think there's one more guy on that list. So a little bit worrisome. Are you worried about those guys? I think they're going to play as long as it's good right now. I mean, I feel like by now we probably would know if they weren't going to play at least.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely hurts us, right? Limits any sense of pass rush, no matter what we think of Jerry Tillery, overrated or don't want him there. Like fans are all over the place with him. You need to have Bosa in a game like this because this is one of the weaker offensive lines where he would actually get a chance to maybe feast a little bit and get some pass rush and help some of the other guys who can't get pass rush when he's being double teamed or, chipped by Freiermuth or Harris out of the backfield. So I'm a little concerned about that. I think more so concerned about Joseph being on here because we really need that middle piece in this game because they're going to lean on Harris a lot. Like we need him in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a big deal. Joseph being a DNP all week so far this week, we do need him out there. Fortunately, it's not a lower body injury. So as a veteran on the team, he could just not practice for safety reasons and then still play.
He literally can't wear any more protective pads either. Like he's got like a brace on one arm and the other arm looks like it's held together by actual literal nuts and bolts. It's like, I just look at him, I'm like, thank you, big guy.
I just really, and I know you love the guy, Chris Rumph. He's only a pass rusher to me in my mind right now. Yeah. I really do not want to see him trying to tackle Najee Harris at the first level. I just don't. And whoever else the backups will be, Kyler Fackrell and Chris Rumph off the edges with Najee attacking him, that's scary.
Harris might stiff arm right through his like solar plex, like right through his xiphoid process. Just poof.
Harris is bigger than
break
both
his chest.
They could get on each other's shoulders, and Harris is bigger than them still. And when we look at the Steelers here, Chase Claypool's been a limited practice with a toe injury. He's one of their better receivers. That's probably the guy that Michael Davis is going to be covering with Michael Davis's size and length. Kevin Dotson, one of the O-linemen, did not practice. He's not very good anyways. Joe Hayden has not practiced. There you go, Herbert and Keenan. Go ahead and attack him. Cameron Hayward, he looks like he's going to be back. He's at full practice on Thursday. I don't know who Loudermilk is. He's a limited practice. Trey Turner, guy who used to be on the Chargers. He's actually put in a little bit more work than I expected for them. And he's a full practice, so he's probably going to play. Still not great, though. This is why their O-line is so bad, that Trey Turner is the highlight of it. And the big one, right? Other than Big Ben with the COVID issues, TJ Watt, hip/knee, which is scary, has not practiced this week. And I don't know if he's expected to play. Have you seen any reports on Watt's status? It's been all about Big Ben on ESPN and everything.
I've seen a lot of hope, right? Like I've seen a lot of Steelers are hopeful that he'll play. He's not practicing. He is probably the most impactful defensive blitz. Like him, I would even say more so than Myles Garrett. Like the way that this team has been winning football games this year, it's been a lot of TJ Watt in the fourth quarter, deflecting passes, getting sacks, forcing fumbles. Like it's crazy that they always have one of these guys, right? Whether it was Polamalu, I could go back further than that, but they always seem to have one of those players who's late in games making game-winning plays for this organization. I have a lot of love for the Steelers, so I'm going to take no joy in putting an ass whooping on them, hopefully this weekend. But they have to. This team is depleted. They're catching him at the right time. Even if Ben plays, he hasn't practiced all week. Like he hasn't been with the team or whatever's going on. So hopefully, they have to win big, Mike. They have to. This is the kind of like, you need a statement win. They're right next to you. They're traveling. Now, I do think SoFi is going to have a lot of terrible towels in it, unfortunately, because Pittsburgh travels really well.
That is true. That is a little worrisome. The team's used to it at this point. I mean, what can you do more to get used to it other than play every home game with the Vikings? Kind of 50-50 us. I was at that game. Like the Vikings did it. And the Vikings, their fan base is loyal, and you see them at the games chanting Skol and doing all that. But I don't look at the Vikings and go, oh, man, we're playing the Dallas Cowboys this week. They're going to load the stadium up, or the Raiders, or the Steelers. Like you're saying, Watt is a game wrecker, and he can absolutely take over a game by himself. We forgot to list that Fitzpatrick is out. He's not playing. He's not even on the injury report listed as questionable.
He's out because of COVID, though, right?
Yeah.
I thought that he had a shot to play. He's out for sure. That's a huge deal.
And Hayden is what Chris Kyle is also saying is out as of right now. So we shall see. That is a huge deal because they're down Hayden and Minka, their two best players in the secondary. And you could be down Watt, your best player on the D line, and you're going against one of the more high-powered offenses in the NFL if Joe Lombardi can get his head out of his ass and be a high-powered offense play caller. We run our play call like we're Cleveland, and we got to lean on Nick Chubb to win us games. We don't need to lean on Nick Chubb. We got number 10. That's who we need to lean on to win these games. I want to see Herbert throw 40 times this week. I usually don't demand for us to go one-sided like this. But after everything that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, take over this game, be aggressive early, and let number 10 do it for you. And the receivers got to just catch the ball.
The idea that we think the answer is 2-yard outs to Jared Cook and Anderson and like whatever. I'm okay if there's some 3 and outs, if they're taking deep shots and taking some making some risky plays. Let the play action work in your favor and roll them out 5 or 6 times in a row. Like, just be exciting when you have that much talent. Don't be so careful and conservative and nervous or whatever.
Yep.
No.
And here's some concern also, and something that I've noticed over the last couple of weeks. The Chargers have been good and the right out of the gates out of half, and in the beginning of the game, you know why that is? Those are all scripted plays. Once they run out of scripted plays, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, but even in the early scripted plays, they're at least pushing the boundary a little bit. There's they're running in 3 wide receiver sets. But as soon as they get past it, it's well, let's bring in Anderson on one side and Cook on the other. We'll go 2 wide receivers and we'll run a 1940s draw up the middle. Why? Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's my concern. When you have a week to prepare a perfect rhythm drive or 2 drives or 3 drives, however many drives they put together, they can do it. But in the game, he's not been able to keep that rhythm throughout an entire football game. I don't think we've seen it in any game other than the Cleveland game so far this year. And that's concerning to me as an offensive play caller who has had Sean Payton to lean on for all this time. With all your success has been with Sean Payton. Now you don't have Sean Payton and you can't call a full game at the same level that you call off the script. That's concerning. I mean, I'm not the guy to preach, let's give up on him after 1 year. I usually try and stay calm and give coaches and players a chance to develop and really improve. But Lombardi's been in the league too much to have more time to improve. He needs to get it together. We got too many weapons.
And he's worked in some really successful systems with really successful coaching Hall of Famers and possible future Hall of Famers. I'm not that worried about the coaching thing. I think this is another week where we might lose the time possession battle, and this is just a real ugly, 20-16 football game on Sunday night. Just really take the air out of the ball in an ugly Pittsburgh football game. As much as you don't want to see a quarterback who only thrives in off-schedule stuff, that was one of the problems with Zach Wilson, was they're this guy thrives in chaos and whatever else. It's no, you also need to be the guy who thrives with just putting up a bunch of numbers and dominating and building leads and saying every time I get the football, I'm putting it in the end zone so I can scrap whatever game plan you have. They need to score on the first drive, the second drive of this game and say, you thought you were going to run with Najee Harris a bunch, but that's not going to happen. You won't be able to stay in that game because you're going to need to put points on the board because we're going to commit to stopping. We're taking that element away from you, and we're going to make you try to push the ball downfield and beat us with an aging quarterback who cannot really throw that deep anymore.
You just drew up exactly what should be preached all week. I mean, I was going to say something similar in our little X Factor stat prediction, score prediction. You just said exactly how this game should go. Make them throw. They cannot throw. No matter who's their quarterback, they cannot throw. Yeah, they cannot. They cannot throw. Najee Harris is it. Stop Najee. Do what you did to Cook. It wasn't even a shutdown game. Cook still had a really solid game. But I was super satisfied with seeing us stop him on 3rd and 1s. I was that's amazing. We never would have done that 2 weeks ago. Anyways, it's a good time to wrap this up, Tony. X factor of the game, maybe a little stat prediction and score prediction. What do you think?
Should have put a little thought into this. I'm going to go with my X factor. It's not going to be that guy. It's going to be Mike Williams. Here it is, Mike. Mike, I privately would text Mike after about 5, week 4, week 3. I was like, Mike Williams is going to get it. He's going to get a contract offer extension. He needs to be around here. He's doing things differently. He's catching slants now. He's working the intermediate game, and he's still able to go deep and beat people. Now, I don't care if you play the rest of your career for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't care if you play the rest of your career for the Dolphins or whatever, because you cannot be that inconsistent on such big plays in the game. I want you to be healthy. I want you to have a beautiful life. But too many times am I sitting there as a fan cheering, and then it's oh, well, Mike dropped another big pass. As many big plays as he's made this year, he's made equally game-changing plays for the other team by balls that have hit him in the hands and not brought in. And it's frustrating, and it makes me be like, if he's back, great. If he's not, great. Like, I don't want to be indifferent to one of the more exciting players on this roster. Like Eckler or Keenan or Herbert for sure. Bosa, Derwin James. Like, if somebody's like, do we want these guys back? Yes, I want them in this jersey. And then you ask about Mike, and it's like, I don't want to feel that way. I need Mike to then recapture my fandom so that I'm here ready to put on the 81 and dance like it's 1999. He's
100%.
my expert.
Yeah, I was calling for a big game last week. I think that was a really good opportunity. He's seen a lot of coverage one-on-one and dropping passes, like you said, or just not getting it done down the field, getting separation.
Watch what Devontae Adams does to that same secondary this week. Yep. Like, it's going to be, you're going to be like, oh, that's what a number one receiver does to this offense.
Exactly.
And I get it. He's playing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers hasn't practiced in 3 weeks.
Exactly. And if Mike Williams wants an extension from us, it is going to be the extension with in mind, you are the heir to Keenan Allen's throne.
Yes.
Keenan Allen's got 2 years left on his deal, yes, but after those 2 years, if we sign you for 4, Mike, you need to be the number one without all these question marks. Anyways, with that being said, I'm also going to pick a receiver, but I'm just going to stick with Keenan Allen. I think he has a 9. I think he has a 2-tutty game. I think he has a 90-plus yard game as well. He's been moving the sticks. He's been a lot more consistent the last couple of weeks, and we're seeing what Keenan does late in the season when teams are tired, DBs are banged up. He's just so slippery and hard to cover. He's not a guy that just runs straight and you can just run with him. He's a guy that you have to have healthy ankles to play against. And I think we're getting to a point in the season where he takes over usually, as long as he can stay healthy throughout the year, knock on wood. He's been so good like the last 5 years with that after a really rough start to his career. And I'll go score prediction. I know I put out a video and I forgot what I said in the video, but it's something close to this. I want to give us high points. I want to give us 30 points, but I'm going to stay conservative and go 28-17.
Oh,
Herbert shows up for primetime games. I will say that. He has had about 5 or 6 primetime games, and he lights it up.
Yeah, I have 27-16, so we're like right in that same neighborhood. To me, it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. I do think Pittsburgh stands a better chance, at least with the veteran and Ben there. But I just
I'm going to entertain you, Felke.
I'm not entertaining any of Felke's comments in any of this. I'm just ignoring all of them, which is great. I'm sure that there's a awesome Cowboys one, and I can't wait to see that game when it goes over a total of 84 points.
We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you tuning in, Felke. We are rooting for the Cowboys heavily this week. Yeah,
I need the Chiefs to lose. It's a win-win for me. Chiefs lose, awesome. Cowboys lose, even better. Fantastic. Yeah. I forget what I was saying, but
we're expecting similar games, is what you were saying, basically.
Yes. Well, that's what I was talking about. This is a quarterback play. It was like, yes, they have a better chance, I think, with Ben, but not that much. Like, Freiermuth has been nice for the Steelers this year, but you shouldn't if a rookie comes in, a rookie tight end like Freiermuth comes in and torches for 8 catches for 80 yards and a couple touchdowns, and that's part of the reason why we're talking next week about a loss, I'll be destroyed emotionally if that's what happens. You can't let Freiermuth be the difference maker.
If that's how they beat us, at least we forced them out of what would be the game plan. Like, we forced them out of nothing. That's the big thing. All right, that's my dog saying to cut it. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys every single week. If you're watching the replay, the comment section is still open, so leave us your thoughts on anything that we said or anything about the Chargers. We love seeing them. We'll see you guys next week. Bolt up.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
Don Coryell.